You're listening to the SSPX podcast, and welcome to episode 15 of the Crisis in the Church series. First, my apologies for the delay in posting this episode. Hopefully we'll be back on schedule for the remainder of the series. Today, we're speaking with Father Dominique Bourmaud, the pastor of St. Vincent's in Kansas City, and the author of 100 Years of Modernism, on the topic of existentialism. Father will explore how this philosophy came about as a result of modernism, and then directly influenced the Neo-Modernists in the 20th century, who would be the ringleaders of the new theology of the Catholic Church. If you're listening on the podcast, this episode is one best viewed on YouTube, as the corresponding text will be very helpful in your understanding. If you'd like to learn more about this series we're doing on the crisis in the church, or go back and revisit our previous 14 episodes, or if you want to support this project, please visit sspxpodcast.com/crisis. Now, let's turn to our conversation with Father Dominique Bourmaud. Well, this is the first time I've talked with you on one of these, Father, and could we just have a little background as to who you are and what you do for the Society of St. Pius X?
Right, so I'm a society priest for about 40 years. Next year will be my 40th anniversary as a society priest, ordained by Archbishop Lefebvre in 1981, and in Écouen, Switzerland. And I've been pretty much a teacher at seminaries for 25 years plus, the US, Australia, Argentina, and I've been teaching mostly philosophy, I guess, when I was there. So that's my background. And currently in Kansas City, I've been here for about 10 years, with a little quick 2 years in St. Louis, just the other side of misery. Anyways, yes.
Very good. Well, I've worked with you a bit in the past. You're the go-to person when there's an issue, an article in the Angelus or for the sspx.org website. We need the Censor Librorum. So you are that for us. So we appreciate your help very much, Father. We're talking to you today about existentialism, or at least we're going to get started with existentialism. So we've already been talking about liberalism. We've been talking about modernism. I guess just we start with the definition. What is existentialism? Where did it come from? And where do we go from there, Father?
Yes, I want to speak about existentialism in the context of the new philosophy or the Neo-Modernism. We've been studying, I guess, in this crisis series on modernism itself. You've been approaching that. So now we're looking at Neo-Modernism, the new version of modernism, just before it was condemned by Pius XII and led into Vatican II. So modernism was really based on Kant, as far as philosophy goes. I would say Kant, Hegel, and these people. And you have to keep in mind that things at that time looked pretty sharp and pretty optimistic, pretty wonderful in the German Prussian area. They had won battles against France, so optimism was the big thing. Now comes 1918, we're talking about existentialism, so 20th century philosophy. 1918, remember, the Germany has been destroyed, crushed pretty much by the Allies at World War I. So optimism, the glorification of reason, those mental constructs of Hegel that pine tree that he was creating, or fir tree that he was creating there in his mind, the best possible world is crushing and totally out of fashion at this time. So those philosophers, or people who are thinking in their minds, they're just trying to get away from this optimistic view, and we go back to something more simple, more humble. Maybe too much thought about the absurdity of things, the crushing realities of human existence. So that's what they are looking at right now. Existentialists are going to concentrate on human existence, liberty, the choices that you make in life, the day-to-day human life. So that's existentialism for you in a nutshell. So we are going from Descartes with the cogito ergo sum, I think therefore I am. Then you are getting into Kant, the philosophy ideas, Hegel with the dichotomies of things, the dialectic of Hegel, the pure ideas. And now those people are swinging the pendulum into something totally different. we're getting into existentialism. I want to go back to my personal, individual, authentic existence. So that's the thing we're looking at here. And yes, we're moving away from the Hegelian Kantian philosophy, which was the backbone, I would say, of modernist philosophy. And we're getting into a very different setting here. Yeah.
Okay. So when we're talking about Kant, he was at the very least still Christian. He still had a great deal of morality to him, but this new philosophy, this new 20th century version, is not really based in Christianity. It's much more agnostic.
Actually, it's not so much the agnostic aspect. We can't know reality. That's also coming from Kant, but their viewpoint is mostly immanentism, the vital immanence of the modernists. You must have talked about that before. So get back to the movement itself. So existentialists, who can be called an existentialist? I would say Socrates, St. Augustine, St. Thomas are existentialists in a way. I mean, they want to reach, philosophy is the study of what? Well, the study of being, the study of what exists out there, right? And St. Thomas of the Creator, I think that was one of the titles of Chesterton, St. Thomas has described God as He who is. So, if anybody can be called an existentialist, I think St. Thomas deserved a good name for that. Now, here we're talking about something slightly different, in a big way. We are looking at the existentialists. Okay, we've been running away from Kant and the Hegel's idealist there. We're not looking at putting the stress on the passions, as the Romantics would do. We're putting the stress on the present moment, the situation here and now, the present sentiment, the authentic existence. So, all right, we're getting away from God, of course, the creator of everything I have, or I am. And so, who fits into that picture of the essentialist? I would say lots of people who are of a very different background, really. So you have Heidegger and Jaspers. So these are a few names I have here. In Germany, you have Sartre, Camus, Marcel, who is himself Catholic, actually, practicing Catholic, in France. So, Heidegger and Sartre are very obviously atheists, whereas Jaspers, Marcel are Catholics or Christians. Then you have the moralist aspect of it, one of the branches, and Father Wojtyla, the future Pope John Paul II, was one of them, following Marc Scheller. You have personalist people, and Maritain, who is a Thomist, by the way, is following a bit Mounier here. So you have those people. So at first sight, it's a down-to-earth, very human movement. It's a very human humanism, much more human than the Kantist or Kantian ideas and Hegel's crazy world of ideas in his mind. It's a flesh and blood incarnate philosophy, I dare say. But philosophy turns into a biography. It's based on the human, humble, tragic, comic, dramatic existence of man. So those authors were, first of all, great idealists and writing their wonderful or just boring essays on philosophy, are turning into novelists. In fact, they're more interested in the diary, because we're talking about my particular situation here and now, my present anguish, my present problem I need to deal with. So you have, therefore, people like Sartre, who is writing plays. The Nausea is one of them. It's not exactly fun. I think there was basically every time there was a play of Sartre in Paris, there was suicide going on. I mean, not exactly my cup of tea, I think.
Right.
So yes, that's the philosophy, I guess, in one word. I define it here as the descriptive philosophy of personal existence, entirely free in its destiny. I don't know whether that brings some interesting things for us. I mean, it's very human, it's very concrete, it's very now, here and now. So it's descriptive. So that's why the novel is ideal for that. And it's talking about the person, the authentic Johnny, not the guy who fits in with the rest of the world, and the stress on freedom. We're going to be looking at that a little more down the road.
Would it be fair to say, Father, that existentialists are less concerned about what's going to be happening in the future? What is the broader morality of things, and they're more looking at, here's what I need to do right now in the moment for myself?
Yes, we're going to speak of that question of the evolutionist aspect of the existentialist. The present moment is creative. Everything hangs on me. The whole world depends on my vision of it, on my choice. So I'm like God, the creator, the moment of creating Adam, the Sistine Chapel picture there, or fresco. It's a bit scary to me.
Right. Well, it was interesting, Father, when you said that there were Catholics and atheists and all these different people who embraced existentialism. What are the principles of an existentialist or of existentialist philosophy? I mean, there must be something that is attractive to all these different groups of people.
Yes, it seems to be, we're talking about a very hazy halo of people, satellites running around things, but is there something common? And I say yes. So I'm going to go through these principles, which I do think connect very much with the principles of modernist philosophy condemned by Saint Pius X Pascendi. Have you studied the question of Pascendi with one of those crisis series? So Pascendi was complaining about, was saying that what you find as an undercurrent of their theology is those philosophical principles, if you want, or lack of philosophical principles, really. Agnosticism, ignorance, that is, we can't know things. Vital immanence, that would be my first thing I want to look at right now. Vital immanence. So we cannot get out of the shell of our mind, basically. And the last one is evolutionism. And so liberty, evolution is very present, I think, in existentialism. So maybe I come to that question of vital immanence for starters. So you have Husserl is a little bit the thinker behind existentialism, if there is such a thing as a thinking existentialist. And so he's trying to go back to Descartes' idea that, okay, how we are trying to search for the Northwest Passage from inside the mind, from my thought, to the real world out there. So I think, in my mind, my thoughts or whatever, therefore I exist. Okay, existence, reality is gotten hold of from my thought. That's the jump of Descartes. Whether it's true, valid or not, it's another question. So he's going back to the same idea here. So Husserl starts with my consciousness, conscious thought, again, the cogito, if you want, of Descartes. And he said, well, I cannot be conscious without being conscious of something. Right. I found the solution, the Northwest Passage. We've bridged the gap between the mind and reality. So is that the solution? Well, thank you. I don't think so, because it's still my dream. I've dreamt a dream, but is it true? Is it holding on to now a real hook out there, which is outside of my mind? So we are talking about, again, the shadow of a groom armed with the shadow of a brush. We're standing forever grooming the shadow of a horse. We are not getting away from the Husserlian fairy tale, as far as I'm concerned. And Kant is the same way, it's just the dream of the thought of a sausage and the thought of sauerkraut, but with just the thought of a pint of beer. But that's food for thought, all right, but it's not getting you back to reality. We're playing the indoor sport here, Bernard.
Are they saying that there's no reality? I mean, when you say that they're just standing there, dreaming of sauerkraut and sausage or brushing the shadow of a horse, are you saying that they have no, I guess they have no basis in reality, but do they reject that there is actually a reality of things?
Kant does not reject the reality of things, but Kant says that, okay, when I think thoughts, when I my mind is science is in the mind only and not in the thing. So science must connect the mind and something else out there. But he's saying that there is no way the connection can be valid. Basically, that's what he's saying. So these things are there, but do we know them? No. Do they have an essence? We don't know. We are making it up ourselves. We are just transforming it in our categories, mental categories of Kant. So Husserl is trying to do something similar. Just a couple of quotes here. So the first principle, rather, is really this one. Cogito volo est. I think, or I will, rather, it's a voluntarist statement here. I will, I think, it is. My wishes make potatoes here. I want that it happens, therefore it is out there. And that's the existentialist for you. Just a quote here from Merleau-Ponty, one of those French pontiffs, I guess, of existentialism. My existence does not come from my antecedents. It goes towards them and sustains everything. I am the absolute source. I don't know what that tells you, but that tells me something is not quite right here. And I hold everything in existence myself. My thinking makes things be. There's a certain creative or desire to be the creator or the maintainer of all things. I don't know. So nothing can resist the will of iron, I guess, of these people. Reality is clay in potter's hands, and the existentialists make things be, I guess. Sartre says the same thing about his liberty. I must be free. I am because I will. I am my own beginning. There's something of a blasphemy again to God. I mean, that's the way I see it.
Right.
I don't know. So that's the first principle, I dare say, the vital immanence. We're playing that indoor sport. We cannot really reach out beyond the mind, and reality cannot be known, basically.
That quote from Sartre, I must be free. I am because I will. I am my own beginning. I'm starting to see now how this vital immanence can very quickly lead into agnosticism, a total disbelief of any higher being. Right,
of a higher being, and any being whatsoever. So we're getting into the second point here with this agnosticism you're talking about. Now, in realist philosophy and realism and common sense, I would say, we just simply admit things exist outside of me, these books behind me or you in front of me. Things exist, they have a nature, we can know it. Our intelligence can know the essence or the nature of these things. There's a tree out there, and the treeness is in my mind, or the little cat there, or the felinity, and it can relate it to other things and make me know other things, okay? That's realism. Idealism denies that things have a nature, or that we can know that nature of things. And if they had a nature anyways, we cannot know it because we are informing rather than being informed by things. We are changing. We are putting our inform into those things. That's Kant for you. Now, existentialism is simply throwing away the essences, the natures of things. Then the second principle is very simple. Existence precedes essence. Existence precedes essence. You are before you are a man. How does that work? I don't know how that works. So man is before he is this. Man creates his own essence and the entire universe with it, okay? Going back to a quote from Sartre, which is scary, I think. I must be free. I am because I will. I am my own beginning. I will, I think, it is. Cogito volo est, or volo cogito est. So existence precedes essence. What does that mean? Well, basically, I'm saying that the race runs, the flight flies, the sightseeing, is sightseeing without. Okay, so the race runs without a runner. You have a running without a runner. You have a flight without a bird. You have a sightseeing without a sightseer. You have the wine poured out without the wine glass. How can you be without being a man, or being this or that? Existence precedes essence is a little tricky, I think. And obviously we're throwing away those essences at this stage of the game. You follow me?
Yeah, I'm following you, and I keep thinking, Father, it seems like they're making so many logical leaps to try to fit philosophies into... It seems so much simpler to be a realist. I mean, maybe I'm being naive in saying that, but...
Well, keep in mind that these people then really have put the focus on liberty. So, natures... if there is a nature, then we have laws of nature we have to follow, natural law, I guess, which means that I have to obey someone else. They're not going to accept that. My liberty is absolutely, I think we defined it a second ago, let me just go back there, entirely free in its destiny. Freedom is an absolute. Liberty is the God today, okay? So it's something irrational. And we are really going from ignorance, agnosticism, to absurdity. I would be for too long, really, with that. Because this existence of those existentialists is no sweet dreams. We're getting very quickly into a nightmare of things here.
Right.
Just look at this text here of one of the plays of Sartre, so The Flies, Les Mouches. The protagonist here, Orestes, is answering back to Zeus, God. You should not have made me free. No sooner had you created me than I ceased to be yours. I am doomed to have no other law but mine. For I, Zeus, am a man, and every man must find his own way, find out his own way. So I'm prisoner of my own liberty. To go where? Nowhere. A road which is which leads really nowhere. A train which is into no destiny. It's a bit scary. It
seems that Sartre knew. I mean, based on that quote in the play, it seems like he knew that this was an untenable position to hold. But again, that, like what you were saying just a bit ago, Father, that desire for liberty, that ultimate desire for absolute freedom, is going to cause them to just do all these mental gymnastics in order to attain this liberty.
It's really, Garrigou Lagrange had a statement saying that it's God or the absurd. They have rejected God and therefore they fall into absurdity. And I think it is really a key to their philosophy, which is really based on a theological choice, an theological choice. I reject God and therefore everything falls apart. If I hold on to my own existence, my human, totally free existence, free from anything, then we're getting into trouble here, okay? So this philosophy is anything but philosophy. It's not a love of wisdom, of order, of reason. It's really the love of absurdity as the ultimate. So I move on here to my third point, maybe my evolutionist theory there, because freedom, liberty means I can choose what I want when I want. In realism, being is superior to becoming. Being is what is. Becoming is what is in the process of becoming. Well, I'm becoming an architect. That means I'm not an architect. I'm a potential architect. I'm nothing yet, okay? So in realism, of course, especially Thomism, considers as God is, or pure existence, who is. The essences or the natures have the stability also. But now we have done away with God, we have done away with essences, and now we are just floating somewhere in the flux of endless time. A few quotes again from Sartre says, being is one with the event and the situation. Okay, being is what? It's just a situation, a moment in my change, I guess. Bergson, who was a modernist philosopher at the time of St. Pius X, being is duration. Heidegger, he's obviously one of these existentialists, being is time. Time. The most fluctuating, changing thing in the world. So all four of them, obviously, we are moving from the philosophy of being, as supreme, if you want, to endless flux, change, becoming. So the third principle of the existentialist is the present moment is creative. Liberty has creative power. The entire world hangs on my absolute liberty. My free act is cosmic and eschatological. Again, we're getting to that picture of God creating the world on the Sistine Chapel fresco there. Man, by his free act, is on the brink of creating a new world and changing everything around him. Take a photo of little Johnny there, of an individual, age 5, age 10, 20, 50. Okay, now you have a gamut, if you want, a palette of different photos. Well, the essentialist is not going to say, Johnny is. We have to use now an impersonal subject. It is becoming. As you would say, it is raining. It is snowing. What's snowing? What's raining? Well, it's a moment. It's a situation. Man is an instant. Yes. Okay. So it's just the haze, the fog.
Right. So for them, this evolution, this changing of things, this is the ultimate way to know things? Or would they say that they can't even know things if, I guess, full stop. I guess would they say they can't even know things? Everything is in change, everything is in flux, everything is becoming, therefore there is no being.
Well, the only knowledge is the experimental knowledge of this particular moment. I know my action in this particular situation here and now. It's again this descriptive philosophy of the here and now. There is nothing stable. It's all fluctuating, the flux, if you want. So it has an application also on the Neo-Modernist theologians. Philosophy is the support, the underground thing of theology. And so you have Runner, who is obviously the key theologian of the Neo-Modernism. He says Christianity is the religion of the future. It's a not yet. Okay? Situation ethics of Runner, the religion of future. Congar says human activity is the action of God. What? The action of God? My activity is God acting there. Just a bit strange here. Chenu, another Dominican modernist, neo-modernist. The divine is the self-liberation of man. The divine liberates me, okay? And Laurentin, another neo-modernist, theologian, God is not yet. I don't know how he gets away with that, and I believe that he's a good guy, God doesn't exist yet. God has not been terminated, completed, I guess, perfected. How does that sound to you?
Oh, the thing, Father, let me tell you, the thing that I love most about doing these episodes with our various priests is, the game Tetris. The blocks start to fall into place, and then all of a sudden, you form a row. I feel like I just had one of those moments when you were talking about Ronner's quote there. Christianity is not yet, it is the religion of the future. Okay, so this evolution of ideas, nothing is right now. We always have to be working towards something in the future. Now this is starting to fit into place. The Second Vatican Council, we have to change and always adapt. That's the modernist, always wanting to change and adapt and evolve and never be satisfied, because for a modernist, an existentialist, there is no is. It's always becoming.
Right. That to me relates so very much to that harmonizes and synchronizes with the position of Teilhard de Chardin, with the omega point, where working towards that omega point. And we're going to speak about Deribac next time. And Deribac was really a theologian in many ways, more secretive and in hiding. But so we speak of him next time. I just want to finish, if you want, with we define existentialism, the descriptive philosophy of personal existence, free from its destiny. So we're getting into, because we have been looking at the principle of vital immanence, I want, I think, things are. The principle of ignorance, what did I say here about that? Existence before essence. There's no essences of things, there's no stability. And then this idea there that evolution, things are always in perpetual movement, the flux. Present moment is creative. So all this really leads to the three pitfalls of modernist philosophy: agnosticism, immanentism, evolution, are still very present in this existentialist philosophy, this new movement that came up between the war and a little after the Second World too, I think. And they are therefore key essential elements to the Neo-Modernism, which we are going to see in a minute. So Pius XII, in Humani Generis, 1950, condensed that. So we're going to speak about that with the back, but already he has a very clear condemnation of specifically existentialism. I need to quote that text here. Such fictitious tenets of evolution, which repudiate all that is absolute, firm, and immutable, have paved the way for a new erroneous philosophy, which, rivaling idealism, immanentism, and pragmatism, so the previous philosophies of Kant, Hegel, and company, has assumed the name of existentialism, since it concerns itself only with existence of individual things and neglect all consideration of their immutable essences. We are doing away with essences. Existence precedes essence. Does away with essence, really, what it is. They allege that perennial philosophy, Thomistic, realistic philosophy, is only a philosophy of immutable essences, while the contemporary mind must look to the existence of things and to life, which is ever in flux. And then he's targeting particularly existentialism. Everything changes, everything evolves. That's the last word, I think, of existentialism. So next time we're going to look at the new theologians who have been formed, if you want, with that undercurrent of philosophy, or can call it a philosophy of existentialism. That's it.
Wow. That's fascinating. Thank you so much, Father, for going through that and giving us this introduction. I'm sitting here I want to go back and watch this again and again, because this is fascinating stuff. So thank you very much, Father, and look forward to talking to you next time about Henri de Lubac. That'll be fun.
We'll see you next time. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Father. Thank you for listening to and watching episode 15 of our Crisis in the Church series here on the SSPX podcast. In episode 16, we'll be welcoming back Father Bourmaud to take the next step in our understanding of these existentialist theories, how they developed into the new theology that would influence the Catholic Church so greatly in the 20th century. If you have a question on the topic of the crisis, please feel free to ask it at sspxpodcast.com/crisis. Please share this episode with someone who you might think would enjoy it. And if they don't know what a podcast is, please show them so that they can take advantage of all our episodes. And if you have the ability to set up a monthly recurring donation of $5 or $10 or $20 on sspxpodcast.com, it would help us immensely to complete this Crisis in the Church project. Until next week, thank you for listening, and God bless you.